welcome to the very first month of Pat Sloan's 2016 Mystery Block of the Month. And the title of this one is My Secret Garden. This is our very first block. I know you can't see it very well, but I'll put close-ups in. And these are the two fabric lines that I'll be using for this block of the month. I decided to do two blocks again, just like I did with the Moda Sampler Block Shuffle. But this time, I really wanted to do two different fabric lines. So the very first one that I'm doing is Hometown Girl, which is designed by Pat Sloan. The fabric line is being released in February, I believe. The first part of February, I think. And the second line that I'm doing it out of is Victoria Finley Wolf's Mostly Manor. They are similar in the fact that they both have reds and greens and blues in them, but they're different in the fact that, I'll show you one of Victoria's. This is one of my favorites. They're very different in the fact that Victoria's is very, what I would call modern and bold and just, they're very, very pretty. Pat Sloan's are beautiful too. Here's one of Pat's. I'll show you the colors. I'll also stick close-ups in so that you can see really what they look like. Here's one of Pat's prints, which is very, very pretty. But anyhow, I'm doing it in two colorways. I will also be finishing them in two different ways. Pat Sloan's I'm going to finish per her design. Victoria Finley Wolf's I'll finish per my design. So I wanted to let you know that too. The other thing I wanted to let you know is I'll put some links down below for quilt shops that will be offering kits of both of these. Now, keep in mind, neither one of these have been released yet. They will not be released until either January or February. So you're not going to have your fabric for the very first block. But what I would do is grab a bunch of your scrap blocks, make up a scrap block for the very first month. Just kind of like your test block on the pattern in the instructions to get yourself familiar with it. So remember, you're not going to be able to get the fabric until January or February. But what I suggest you do, because we all know once a fabric gets released, it gets sold out. I'll put a link down below to Oh Susanna's Quilts and Gifts. Oh Susanna's is going to be kitting these up. So make certain that you follow the link below, go out to her shop, and get on the email or on the order list so that you can get your kit as soon as the fabric comes in. Now they will be kitting these up and sending them out as soon as they possibly can, so that you'll be one of the first ones to actually get your hands on the fabric. So make sure you follow the link below, go out to Oh Susanna's and get your fabric ordered. In the meantime, I'm going to show you how I went about putting block one together. So I hope you enjoy the tutorial, and I will see you again next month on the 1st of February with block number 2 of the 2016 Pat Sloan's My Secret Garden Mystery Quilt Along. So stay tuned and see how I put the first block together. All right, so I'm ready to do the very first step. And you can see what I have done is I've drawn a diagonal line across the 2.5-inch squares. And then I've put an X on them. And what that X is telling me is that that's the side I want to sew on, because that's the side that I'm going to be cutting away. And I want to show you what it's going to look like when I do it. I'll do it on this one. So I'm going to sew right here next to this line, just one thread over, no more than that, just a real scant, just on the side of the drawn line. And then when I press it over, this is what these two pieces are going to look like when I go to sew them together. So this will give you an idea. The biggest mistake that happens when doing this type of a sew is that you put the squares exactly on the same side every single time. and then you can't get this triangular effect in the center. So 4 of them are going to go on the right side, 4 of them on my left, your right, 4 of them on my right, your left. So just wanted you to see what that looks like. So now I'm going to sew. I am using Orifil 2600 thread. It's a gray, and then that way I don't have to change my thread between my 2 blocks. So it's a really nice basic color, and Orifil is really all I do use. So I wanted to let you know that too. So I'm going to get sewing, then I will press them and show you the next step. I think you can see that I have laid out the blocks. I'm going to try and move this one a little bit closer to you. Here. And anybody who has followed any of my tutorials, especially my last one on the Moda Sampler Block Shuffle, I really like to put things together in the basic of blocks before I continue. So I'm going to sew these together in their units based on the instructions, and then go ahead and put the whole square together. Once I have this square together, at that point I'll come back and show you the back side of it and how I pressed it, so that you'll know the easiest way to get it pressed. All right, this is Victoria Finley Wolf's colorway. And I'm going to turn it over because I want you to see how I pressed it, okay? The very first thing is I want to tell you that on your half square triangles, you really, really need to square those up. If you don't square them up, your block's not going to go together right, and you're not going to be pleased with it. So please take the time to make certain that you square up your half square triangles. Pat has you put this together as a basic 9 patch and then add the outside as a border. So what I did with the 9 patches, here's one square. It got pressed towards the solid block. So there's 1 solid block, there's 3 half square triangles. So I pressed it towards the solid on this one. On this block, I did the exact same thing. And on these 2 blocks, I did that also. So I also always pressed it towards the most solid block. The same thing with the center block. The center block got pressed towards the most solid block. And then same thing with the middle row. So when you go to put this completely together, here's my 3 rows. Here's 1, 2, 3. The center block in rows 1 and 3, I pressed out. The center block in row 2, I pressed in. So they nicely came together. The other thing that I did was on the outside blocks, the border blocks, I pressed those seams mostly open. One of them got flipped when I was sewing it, and I left it. And I will tell you quite honestly, putting my finger on it, I can feel the difference. The one where it's pressed open is just a little bit flatter. So I wish that they had gotten pressed or left open and not folded over, but I'm not gonna take it out. So I will put on my website a little diagram that shows how I pressed this so that you can see how it was done. Because I think the pressing is really important. You want it to lay flat. So there is the block. Here is Pat Sloan's colorway, which is Hometown Girl by Moda. And this is Victoria Finley Wolf's colorway. And this fabric line is called Mostly Manor. And this is by Marcus Brothers. We have completed our very first block for the Pat Sloan's Mystery Garden 2016 block of the month. Boy, that is a mouthful. Anyhow, this is the very first block. This is in Hometown Girl fabric line, which was designed or is designed by Pat Sloan for Moda Fabrics. So this is Hometown Girl. And here is the exact same block done up in Victoria Finley Wolf's Mostly Manor, and this one is for Marcus Fabrics. So there's the very first block. I will be back on February 1st with the very first, or block number 2 of the mystery block of the month. See you then. Thanks so much. Bye.